Our guest for today is Tom Hegna, economist, author, and retirement expert. He's joining us to discuss his thoughts on retirement income planning, as well as what he teaches others in books and seminars. He was our most popular radio guest last year. When I asked people, what show do you like best of last year? Everybody said Tom Hegna. And we've had some amazing guests like Ed Slott and others on the program before. So Tom specializes in creating simple and powerful retirement solutions, and has a unique ability to craft things in a way that's easy for regular people to understand. So we are now live on the YouTube and WOR radio. So folks, if you have a question, type it in the chat box for Tom Hegna right now, and we'll try to get to all of your questions. We have 32 copies of the book, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, available for the first 32. Last time he was on, I think we had like 100 requests for the book. So if you want the book, call us 888-988-JOSH and request one. He's been featured in Business, Forbes, Money Rates, and many other leading publications. Hey, Tom, how have you been?
Hey, Josh, it's great to be with you.
So, Tom, what do you see are the biggest challenges to those planning for retirement in today's economy?
Well, I mean, the problem is people are living longer than ever, and that's going to cause a problem for people. They don't have the pensions that their parents had, and so and retirement is really all about income. It's not about assets, and everybody thinks it's about having this pile of money, but the pile of money doesn't really matter until you turn it into income, and it's the income that you can, live on and enjoy and spend, and it's the spending of money in retirement that allows you to enjoy your retirement. It's the travel, it's the dinners out, it's the bottles of wine with your friends. That's how you enjoy your retirement. I always tell people, I don't care how many millions of dollars you got stashed in some account somewhere. If you're scared to do anything with it, that's going to do nothing for your retirement.
Yeah, enjoyment is critical to retirement. So what are some challenges you see that people planning for retirement are facing?
Well, I mean, there's many risks in retirement. And see, people think it's all about saving and investing and being in the market, and that's really not what a successful retirement's about. A successful retirement has two very simple components. Number one, how much guaranteed lifetime income you have, and number two, it's about risk management. You've got to take the key retirement risks off the table, and there are a lot of risks in retirement. There's market risk. We've seen that. There's withdrawal rate risk. You can take out too much money. There's a big one called sequence of returns risk that most people don't understand, that when the market's now near all-time record highs is a huge risk. I think we may see some short-term inflation. Longer term, we might still see some deflation. They're going to raise our taxes. We can see that's coming. You might need long-term care. You might die. You might live a long time. There are a lot of risks in retirement, and so it's really about risk management and having that income so that you can actually enjoy your retirement.
Income you can't outlive. Now, you've written the book Paychecks and Playchecks, and I love that phrase. Talk about that for our listeners who maybe have never heard that from you.
Well, I just think it's a great title because you need paychecks in retirement to cover your basic living expenses, your housing, your food, your clothing, your cell phone, your internet. And with the math and science, all the research of the PhDs who study this say that paycheck should be covered with guaranteed lifetime income. So you don't want to have that go up and down, and you don't want to have that money in the market. That's where Social Security fits, that's where pension fits, and that's where lifetime income annuities fit, is to cover those basic living expenses. But then the paycheck, that's the travel, that's the fun stuff, and that can be invested in the market or real estate or whatever people want to invest in. But I think we learned one thing from COVID. We learned that, I wrote an article, all the anti-annuity dominoes have fallen. And by the way, I don't sell any annuities. I own 11 of them. I don't sell any of them, and I don't get compensated on them. But I said all the anti-annuity dominoes have fallen. People say, oh, I don't need an annuity. I got rental properties. Yeah, how's that working when renters don't have to pay rent and landlords can't evict them? I'm not against rental properties, but they can't substitute for guaranteed lifetime income. People say, oh, I do dividend-paying stocks. I love dividend-paying stocks. I own dividend-paying stocks, but over 600 companies slashed or eliminated their dividends during COVID. You can't call that guaranteed lifetime income. People say, I do laddered bonds. Well, how do laddered bonds work when the 10-year treasury's at like 1.7%? Laddered bonds aren't going to work. And then people say, oh, I do municipal bonds, tax-free bonds. Yeah, they've been on the cover of Barron's magazine 3 times in the last 18 months because of COVID. All these municipalities, their expenses have gone up, their revenue's gone down, and many of these municipalities are going to have severe financial problems. So they fit in the playcheck, but they don't fit for the paycheck.
So the paycheck would be constructed of annuities and what else? Basically,
Social Security and pension. That's what makes the paycheck. And you know what? I've got some annuities to cover my paycheck too, because I want to be able to play golf and travel and do stuff no matter what the market's doing, no matter what interest rates are doing, no matter what the government's doing. I want to still be able to enjoy my retirement. And so I'm a big believer in annuities. I own them. I don't sell them. I don't care if people buy them. But the research, it's nearly unanimous. If you study the PhDs who study retirement, the Dr. David Babelos of Wharton, Dr. Moshe Malevsky of Toronto, Dr. Menachem Yari of Israel, Dr. Michael Finke, Dr. Wade Pfau, Dr. Robert C. Merton, Dr. Roger Ibbotson. I mean, it's unanimous that you need to put an annuity into the portfolio at least to cover your basic living expenses in retirement.
And I remember you were on last year and we talked about the fact that some of these annuities may not exist a year from today. And we were right. A lot of the good ones, they were pulled off the shelf. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, and I've always said that, you know, the secret sauce of an income annuity are these mortality credits. It's extra money from the risk pool the older you are and the longer you live. And the more I've studied it, I never knew that these mortality credits were limited. And so really an insurance company, to do it right, they should issue the same amount of life insurance as they do income annuities, because the risk when they sell life insurance is that somebody dies too soon. The risk when they sell annuities is that somebody lives too long. Because they're on both sides of the mortality and longevity risk, they can neutralize mortality and longevity risk to themselves and to your clients. So you know, those mortality credits are what's critical. And eventually, when we sell if so many annuities get sold, these mortality credits will disappear until more life insurance is sold.
Yeah, that's also interesting. There's been a rise of different annuity companies ceasing to issue products. I mean, I think of, you know, the Hartford. They used to be big annuity insurance provider. Now I think all they do is car and home insurance. So it's sort of, it could be a little.
There are some companies that pulled out of the market just because, you know, interest rates are so low. The market's at all-time record highs. That puts risk that if the market crashes, and there's guarantees on these products, that the insurance companies could be on the hook. You know, I mean, they buy options to protect them. They hedge against that risk, but it's still a risk. And so there's some companies out there who've just looked at it and said, look, we just don't want that risk, and we're going to focus on something else.
So in some sense, there is a limited time for people to act.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how limited. I don't think it's like, you know, within 12 months or 18 months. But I think over time, certainly, these products are going to change and they're going to evolve. But I do believe these are the highest mortality credits you're ever going to see.
What I mean, yeah, I guess by limited time, what I mean is they're only going to get worse, you know.
Probably because as people live longer, what the insurance companies are going to have to do is they're going to have to cut the payout rates on their new annuities, because, you know, people start living to be 110, 120, 130 if they cure cancer and diabetes and, you know, and heart disease and all these other things. People are going to live longer. And now with, you know, we've seen with COVID, they got this vaccine, this mRNA technology that's going to be used probably to cure Alzheimer's someday, probably to cure heart disease, to cure cancers. And as they do that, people will live longer. And as they live longer, the new annuities, we're going to have lower payout rates. So, you know, I've been telling people, get the annuities now. These are probably the best payout rates you're going to see.
What about people who say, you know, annuities are bad? You know, there's so much misinformation on the negative side about annuities. Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, you know, if they say they're bad, they're just not educated properly, because you can't find an economist or a PhD who studied retirement that say annuities are bad. That's ridiculous. I mean, Menachem Yari back in the 1960s proved that only a lifetime income annuity can optimize income over the indefinite period of a human life. See, you don't know how long you're going to live. I don't know how long I'm going to live. But the insurance company knows almost exactly how long all of your listeners are going to live, almost to the exact month. They know some of them are going to die early. They know some are going to live long. They don't know which people it is, but they know when they get 10,000 people, they can get that down to almost the exact month. And because of that, they can pay each and every one of us as though they knew exactly when we're going to die. So they can pay us a higher payout rate because they know they're going to only have to pay that really to half the people, because the other half the people are going to die early.
And that's fantastic. I don't hear him. I can't hear him. Okay, so hopefully we'll get our audio back from Tom Hegna, author of the book Paychecks and Playchecks, and the book Don't Worry, Retire Happy, which we will give away to those of you who call our office at 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH, and request a 45-minute strategy session. We'll go over income planning, also his book and the strategies in his book, Don't Worry, Retire Happy. So call us now, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after this.
Yes, I can hear everybody. Can you hear me?
I can hear him now. I didn't hear you for a while there. Okay. So we'll come back right now then. Okay, and we're back. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. We're with Tom Hegna, best-selling author, keynote speaker. Tom, you're in great company. I don't know if you realize this. The show we had with you was our best show by listener acclaim. And I have guys like Lacey Hunt, John Malden, Ed Slott, and you were like the fan favorite when I took polls of what show people liked last year the best. And you were the number one. Can you believe it?
Well, I appreciate that. You know, I did have a PBS TV special, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, and it was filmed in New York, by the way, in Albany, New York, at the PBS facility there. So, you know, maybe there were some people who'd seen me before.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing. And it was like during the summer, kind of like a dead period where people are like they're going to the Poconos, they're going to the shore. And our phones were just lighting up with people telling, hey, we want more of that guy. So anything else you would say to people? Go, oh, I listen to so-and-so and they badmouth the annuity. I talked to my accountant about the annuity and they don't like it. What do you say to that accountant?
Well, I would just say they got to get educated. They got to read the research that I've read on retirement. You cannot retire optimally without an annuity in the portfolio. That's not an opinion. That's a mathematical, scientific, and economic fact. And here's why. Inside of a portfolio, the way that the income annuity functions, it functions like a AAA-rated bond because it comes guaranteed every month for the rest of your life, no matter how long you live. With a CCC-rated yield, the payout rate is much higher than what you can get from bonds or other things, with zero standard deviation. It never fluctuates. So whenever I meet an annuity hater, I say this. I say, look, if you think I'm wrong, just prove me wrong. Here's all you got to do. Build a portfolio that you think I cannot beat. Yeah, put all the good stocks in there. Do that. Yeah. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to reach into your portfolio. I'm going to remove some of your bonds. I'm going to replace it with some guaranteed lifetime income from an annuity. Do you know what that will do to every single one of your portfolios? Every single one of them. It'll lower the risk and increase returns. And it's all because inside of that portfolio, the way that income annuity functions, it functions like a AAA-rated bond with a CCC-rated yield with zero standard deviation. Besides that, when you study happiness in retirement, happiness is tied almost 100% to guaranteed lifetime income, not assets. Think about it. Who are your happiest retired friends? It's your retired military, retired government, retired teacher, retired professor. In fact, is people with pensions. The Wall Street Journal had a headline. You can Google it. It's on there right now. You can Google it. It says, the secret to a happier retirement is friends, neighbors, and a fixed annuity. Time Magazine found the same thing in Great Britain. Lifetime income stream, key to retirement happiness. Towers Watson, they're not even in the insurance industry, did a whole study, and they found that all retirees were happier if they had a source of guaranteed lifetime income. And now the research shows that you're likely to live longer as well. You know, Freakonomics a lot of people follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn, and if you don't, you sure can. I post a lot of fun stuff. I posted a Freakonomics study. It's actually a University of Chicago study. It was picked up by Freakonomics, pushed out through social media, and it was a University of Chicago study that studied people who bought lifetime income annuities versus people who didn't. You know what they found? The people that bought the income annuities lived longer than the people that didn't. The best article I've ever read on that subject was published about 3 years ago in the Journal for Financial Service Professionals. It was written by attorney Patrick Tricker, and he found that in the United States, a 65-year-old male who purchases a life annuity can expect to live about 20% longer than a 65-year-old male who does not. And the whole rest of the article explained why people of income annuities live longer. I mean, dumb, stupid things like they don't have as much stress. They don't worry. The market crashes 40%. Guess what? They go play another 18 holes of golf with their buddy. And because they're being paid to live, guess what? Many of them live differently. They watch what they eat. They exercise. They see the doctor when they're not feeling well. And all these dumb, stupid things cause them to tend to live longer. And Jane Austen back in 1811 in the book Sense and Sensibility talked about how people who have annuities live forever. You can read that in chapter 2 of Sense and Sensibility, written in 1811. Annuities have been around for thousands of years. The Roman Empire issued annuities. See, running out of money has been the number one concern of people ever since there's been people and there's been money. It's not a new concern.
No, that's great. Bringing sense and sensibility to the Financial Quarterback Radio Show. We're with Tom Hegna, and if folks, you have a question in the chat box of our YouTube, it's youtube.com. Search for The Financial Quarterback, and call us at 888-988-JOSH if you want his latest book, Don't Worry, Retire Happy. We're also going to talk about his latest white paper, the Retirement Alpha white paper. And we'll talk about, well, what is Retirement Alpha? How can I get it? So I love what we're learning from you, Tom. So you're talking, you talk to the annuity naysayers. Here's the other thing. A lot of people, you think about who's happiest. It's somebody who gets mailbox money, right? They get checks coming in, whether it's a pension or an annuity. There is a happiness quotient to all of that. That's such a good point. You don't have anybody say, for all of the poo-pooing that some people do in annuities, you don't have people say, I'm going to send my check back to the pension department. I'm going to send my Social Security check back to the government. Do you?
Nope, that never happens.
And I find it really dangerous how, I remember these, people saying, oh, I'd rather die and go to hell than buy an annuity. What do you say to the people who say that?
I said he probably will. I know who said that, and I said he probably will.
Oh, no.
Well, here's the deal. When people claim that they're fiduciaries, but they're not giving people guaranteed lifetime income, that's malpractice in my book. The only reason they're not using annuities is because they don't want to have the clients take their money out of their accounts because they're getting paid fees. We call them forever fees. Many of these fiduciaries, I call them fake fiduciaries. They're investment fiduciaries. They're not retirement fiduciaries. They're there to invest it with low fees and all that. Well, okay, that's great when you're saving and investing. That's not going to get you through retirement, okay? You need to have some guaranteed lifetime income in retirement because of sequence of returns risk, and they don't know about sequence of returns risk, and they run Monte Carlo simulations, which are ridiculous. If your broker's running a Monte Carlo simulation, demand that they use age 100. They all use age 90. Well, age 90 fails 63% of the time, so don't allow them to use age 90. Have them put in 100 or 105, and you'll find out that their plan fails almost every single time. And so because of all of this, you've got to, I just tell people, you don't have to get rid of your stocks. Just get rid of your bonds. Use the annuity as a bond substitute. It is a better bond. It's a bond replacement because, look, at bonds are paying almost nothing now, and they've got huge interest rate risk because if interest rates go up, what happens to the value of bonds? They go down. Many of these bonds can lose 20, 30, 40, 50% of their value. That doesn't happen in an income annuity. And as I said before, that income annuity functions like a AAA rated bond with a CCC rated yield with zero standard deviation.
And we saw that last March. The federal government had to bail out bond ETFs. People forget that. Do you remember that, Tom?
Yeah, and look, I wrote a white or a part of my blog in my newsletter. I said the 60-40 portfolio is dead. Long live life insurance and annuities. And all I said is that the 40% bond side, if you're 60% stock, 40% bond, the 40% bond side is dead. Replace it. If you're under age 55, replace the bonds with cash value life insurance. You're going to get a bond-like return, but you're not going to have the interest rate risk. If you're, let's say, 60 or 65 and older, replace the bonds with a lifetime income annuity. It's going to do better for your portfolio. And I wish these fiduciaries would actually, grow up and really become fiduciaries, become real fiduciaries, not fake fiduciaries. And I see way too many of these fake fiduciaries. And you'll know they're fake if they're against annuities. Then they're fake. You know that. They're fake.
And here's the other thing. And I'm CEO of a fiduciary company, Wealth Quarterback. That's really like if you go to a financial advisor and they just poo-poo what you're doing instead of interacting with these articles, I would be suspicious. I mean, that's just me. Because anytime anybody there's kind of merit in anything, right? Like you're not dismissing dividend paying stocks. You're not dismissing stocks. You're not dismissing real estate. You're just saying, hey, think about annuities as a way to get what you call, I like that, triple C rated yield with A+ rated risk. I like that a lot. Although I can't say it as good as you. So, want to comment on that a little bit more?
Well, I mean, I even posted that I was pro Bitcoin for 1% of a portfolio, and people said, "Oh, his Facebook account must have got hacked because he talks about guarantees all the time." Yeah, I talk about guarantees, but if you have guaranteed money coming in, then you can actually take a little more risk if you want to with some of your other money. So I'm not against stocks. I'm not against real estate. I'm not even against crypto for a small. I put 1% of my portfolio in there, and it's done very well for me. But I'm what the problem is, people go hog wild. They put all their money in stocks or all their money in real estate or all their money in crypto. That is not the way to go. You've got to stay balanced, and you. In retirement, you don't get a chance to make it all over again. If that market goes down and you lose money, that can damage your retirement. So you've got to have some guaranteed income so you can enjoy it. You want to have some paychecks, but then you can invest a little more aggressively for the playchecks.
I love that. Paychecks and playchecks. And folks, give us a call, 888-988-JOSH. Right now, 888-988-JOSH. You get Tom's book, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, for free when you schedule your 45-minute strategy session. So you mentioned sequence of returns risk. And up after the next break, we'll talk more about sequence of returns risk. When we return, this is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial. Call us, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH. We'll be back after this.
Hey, Josh, do you want to put on your camera?
And we're back. We can get back. And we're back. So we're back with Tom Hegna, author of the book, Don't Worry, Retire Happy. I always think of that song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Do, 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 do. Is that where you got that title or no?
No, but I mean, we play that song sometimes, prior to me speaking or talking.
Yeah, you should do like a coming out of retirement. Like, didn't the Rolling Stones do some type of ad campaign with annuities? You could do something with the Don't Worry, Be Happy.
The Alliance for Lifetime Income. The Alliance for Lifetime Income is a nonprofit organization, and they promote how to retire the optimal way. And so, of course, they're going to be positive towards annuities because you can't retire optimally without an annuity. I mean, that's a fact. And so, they get the researchers, they get the PhDs. I'm a senior education advisor for them as well. And they were the sole sponsor of the Rolling Stones concert.
Yeah. And what was the tagline? I can't get no satisfaction without annuities? What was the...
No, I can't even remember the tagline.
It was something like that, though. It was funny. So you talked about sequence of returns risk. Break that down, because I think the average retiree or pre-retirement or somebody planning for retirement, sequence of returns risk should be like the number one thing they know about, and they don't have any clue about it. Talk about it first. What is it, and how can you protect yourself from it?
Yeah, I'm on record saying that sequence of returns risk is going to wipe out the retirements of tens of millions of baby boomers because most of them don't even know what it is. And all sequence of returns risk means is that the day you retire and start taking money out of a portfolio, average returns mean nothing. Now, why is that a big deal? Well, because your entire life as a saver and investor, average returns mean everything. I mean, if you can get 6%, it's better than 4. If you get 8%, it's better than 6. If you get 10%, it's better than 8. If you get 12%, it's better than 10. So our entire investing life, average returns mean everything. And then the day we retire, they mean nothing, because you can average 10% a year for 22 years in retirement, only take out 5% and go dead broke just like that. People don't understand it. And what it means is, let me try to explain it in English. If you retire and the first few years of the market that you're in retirement, the market goes down, down, down while you're pulling out money, you are highly likely to run out of money. Conversely, if you retire and you're taking money out of a portfolio, in the first few years the market goes up, 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 you're highly likely to be successful. You see, what people think is, well, the market's averaged 12% a year since 1924. So, of course, I can take out 8 or 10%. Well, no, you can't. I mean, it used to be 4% was considered safe. Now 4% isn't safe. Morningstar says it's 2.8%. Dr. Wade Faust says it's 2.4%. So the market average is 12%, but you can only take out 2.8% or 2.4%. People don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to them. But it has everything to do that when the market is going down and you're taking money out, all the money you take out never grows back up when the market goes up. So then the market goes down again, and you're taking money out, taking money out, taking money out. The market goes back up, and then that grows back. And all it takes is a couple dips early in retirement, and that portfolio can enter a death spiral that it will never climb out of. I mean, I'm just telling you, people do not understand it.
Welcome to Walmart after, I mean, these were executives that would retire on like $2 million, and $2 million became like 200,000 when the NASDAQ blew up and pets.com and others blew up. What do you think about that? You remember that 2000 to 2002?
Yeah, well, here's another big risk. Many people work for a company, have their 401k with that company, and then put that company stock in the 401k. I mean, you do not want to have more than about 5 or 10 or 15% of your portfolio in your own company stock. I don't care how great the company was. Think about General Electric. I mean, it was the best company in the world for many years, and then that stock crashed, and many of those General Electric people were wiped out. And so Enron, the same thing. I mean, I can go right down the list of companies that have had problems. So I don't care how great you think your company is. Have some stock there, but don't have all your 401k and your pension and your paycheck and everything. You don't want to have it all from one place. You've got to diversify.
So we talked about sequence of return risk. What other risks or mistakes are retirees or pre-retirees making right now?
Well, another big one is they don't have a plan for long-term care. No retirement plan is complete without a plan for long-term care. It's the one thing most people forget about that can wipe out their entire life's work. And I'm very familiar with this. Both my parents were in assisted living. Now, I made them buy long-term care insurance 18 years ago. They didn't want to. It's too expensive. We'll never need it. It's an insurance company ripoff. My dad said all those words to me. I made them buy it. They were in assisted living, $10,000 a month. $10,000 a month. There were years my dad didn't even make $10,000 a year. I cannot imagine their retirement if they didn't have those policies. And every day I see tragedy after tragedy after tragedy. Oh, my mom just went into assisted living, or my dad's in a nursing home. How are we going to pay for it? Yeah, they got to spend all their money down. Then they go on Medicaid. It's welfare. And I don't know if you've ever been in a Medicaid facility. That'd be a good homework assignment. Send all your clients out to the Medicaid facilities and take a big whiff out there. That's not where I want to spend my last years. I want to spend it in my house. I call long-term care insurance anti-nursing home insurance. It's stay-at-home insurance. It's stay-in-control insurance. You know, and I just think whether you buy long-term care insurance or you buy a life insurance policy with a long-term care benefit, or if you have medical problems you can't qualify, then buy an annuity that springs up with a bunch of income in your 70s and 80s. Any plan is better than no plan, but you got to have a plan.
Talk a little about the life insurance with a long-term care rider. People are curious about that one.
Well, okay, so the thing that people don't like about long-term care insurance is it's expensive. You have to go through very detailed underwriting, and then some of the premiums went up, and so they were promised this premium, but then the company raised the premium. Well, when you buy a life insurance policy with a long-term care rider, that premium's guaranteed never to go up. You're buying a bucket of money. You're like buying $200,000 or $500,000 or $1 million of coverage, okay? And that's not going to change, all right? And so it does a number of things. Number one, if you die, it's a death benefit tax-free for family. If you need emergency fund, you could get money out of it. But if you need long-term care, there's even more benefit to pay for the long-term care. And so, I really don't care which way people go. I think the life insurance with a long-term care rider is becoming more popular than traditional long-term care insurance, but long-term care insurance still has probably richer benefits. But I just think that the life insurance with the long-term care rider fits more people because every dollar solves three purposes. It's an emergency fund, it's a death benefit for their kids or spouse, and then there's a long-term care benefit. So it's kind of 3 in 1.
Now, what about the indemnity policies versus reimbursement? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, I mean, to me, more important whether it's indemnity or reimbursement, the difference is the payment would go to the assisted living facility, or the payment goes to you and then you pay the assisted living facility. But to me, what's more important is that you get home health care. If I buy anything to do with long-term care, I want home health care. I don't want to go to a facility. I want to stay in my house. And if I have a big enough benefit, the nurse has to come to me, okay? And I get to stay in my house till the day I die. And that's the way I prefer to do it. And I think after COVID, I don't know a lot of people that are just, wanting to go live their final years in a nursing home. I just don't see that.
Yeah, it's really going to be a national dilemma as all these boomers are aging. What do we do with our aging population? I mean, you saw what happened with COVID. So many died tragically in nursing homes. And it to me, that even underscores the need more for insurance to cover the risk. I mean, I heard, as others were dying, I heard certain insurance companies, I don't know if you can testify to the truthfulness of this claim, but I read somewhere that certain life insurance companies were actually paying people, paying for people to not die. Did you hear about that? It was an interesting article I read.
Well, I didn't hear that specifically, but I mean, that's what long-term care insurance does. It provides the money to take care of them so that they don't die. But like I said, to me, what's very important is to get home health care, because I want to stay in my house. I want the nurse to come to me. And most of these long-term care policies, if you need a walk-in bathtub, they'll replace your bathtub with a walk-in bathtub. If you need things on the halls to bars to walk, they'll do that. If you need a ramp for your wheelchair to come up, they'll do that. And so those are some of the benefits in some of these long-term care policies. They will adapt your house so that you can stay there.
Yeah, because in some ways it's cheaper for the insurance company. They just got to hire a nurse. They don't have to pay for all the facility fees, all that stuff. So what would you say to somebody? I hear this a lot. My kids, they're not going to let me go into a nursing home. I don't need long-term care coverage for that. And I always tell them, and I want your take on this. I always tell them, well, I want you to go to a nursing home if you're allowed to go with COVID. But when you can go. And take a poll of all the residents of a nursing home and ask them, did they want to go here? Was this a part of their plan? And I bet you everyone says no.
Yeah, and just because you say, well, my kids won't let me go in a nursing home, who's going to pay for your care? It's not fair for your kids who are working and they got families of their own that they're going to pay for all of your care. Where's that money going to come from? See, if you've got home health care, many of them allow your children to take care of you, and they will reimburse for that. So if you want to stay at home and you want your kids to take care of you, then you buy a policy that will provide the funds to do that. But there's no free lunch out there. And I'll tell you, if you start needing a lot of care, your kids can't do it. I mean, and you know what? Here's another thing. If you study this, the caregiver's life expectancy goes down significantly. because it is stressful. It is hard, especially when people have sundowners or they're yelling and they're screaming and they're mad and then they can't control their bodily functions, and then there's total cleanup all the time. That gets to be very, very, very stressful. It is very, very hard. And if you think your kids are just going to be happy doing that, I think you got another thing coming. I just don't think the average kid can do that very well. And what I'd rather have is the money to have a nurse come in to do all the things that I need, and I can sit and talk to my kids and spend quality time with my kids, not having them taking care of me, giving me a bath and going to the bathroom. I don't want that. Don't you want to keep your dignity in retirement? I do.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, you want to be there for your family during their end of life, not necessarily. I mean, you see that the caregivers get a little resentment of the people they're taking care of. And, then they suffer a lot of caregivers' guilt and a shorter life expectancy. Because think about this. If you're 80, let's say you're a dutiful wife of a 90-year-old man, are they really going to be able to lug their husband to the bath, to give a sponge bath or anything of that nature? It's just, I don't think a kid could. I mean, during my mother's last weeks of life, and she was really bad for like a month or two. I mean, it was tough. It was tough to take care of her, and if it wasn't for my sister, my sister was able to be there virtually every day. But it was a tough road. I can't imagine people go through stuff for years.
And it tears families apart, because here you've got a daughter who's close, who has to do all the work. Then you've got a son who's in California, way across the country, and another daughter or son that's over there. And then the one feels resentful because they're the ones the burden is 100% on them. And the other people are not sharing the burden, and they really can't. How do they do it? They're going to quit their job and move from California to New York. And so there's all these other issues. And that's why you got to have a plan for long-term care. I can't stress it enough.
That's so good. So we go into different mistakes, sequence of retirement risk, not knowing about annuities, long-term care. What are some other mistakes retirees make or pre-retirees?
Taking too much money out too fast, and then they run out of money. Remember, in income annuities, the only product in the world you can buy, the only product that will guarantee you will never, ever, ever run out of money. It's the only product that will do that. And I think at least a portion, for the average person, be 20 to 40% of their portfolio should go into some type of income annuity, the paycheck, okay? And then they can do whatever they want with the rest of it. I think taxes are going to go up. I mean, it's in the news every single day. I mean, this administration wants to raise a lot of taxes. And so I've been moving more of my personal wealth to cash value life insurance, and I've converted my IRAs and 401ks to Roth, because I think tax-free income in retirement is going to be so critical. And so I've arranged it that I can take tax-free money out of my life insurance. I can take tax-free money out of my Roth IRAs, and many of them are income annuities, so it guarantees me tax-free income for the rest of my life. And so I think taxes are another big thing that people need to plan for.
So you put the annuity in the Roth? So you
yes,
be a Roth annuity.
Absolutely. So so step one, I converted from 401k or IRA. I rolled it into an IRA, income annuity IRA, and then I converted that to a Roth IRA.
Oh, that's
so it's
fantastic.
Income and Roth IRA, and I get it tax-free for the rest of my life.
And folks, if you want to learn more from Tom Hegna, famous author, best-selling author of Don't Worry, Retire Happy, we're giving it away to those of you who schedule and keep your no-obligation review at 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-JOSH, 888-988-5674, and talking about tax increases. And for those of you just joining us, I'm with Tom Hegna. We're on youtube.com now. If you have a question, you can go to the chat bar. Do we have any questions, Ernesto? You can ask us any question you want in the YouTube chat box. Also, folks, we're talking retirement income planning, really down-to-earth tactical guidance where you can understand about long-term care risks, sequence of return risks, annuities, insurance, all that stuff. What about people, you mentioned insurance. What about people who say, well, I don't need life insurance in retirement. I'm just going to let my term expire and my spouse will do fine without me on whatever I've saved.
I think that's a huge mistake. And you mentioned Retirement Alpha. That's a white paper I wrote. And Retirement Alpha, what it really is it talks about how to get the most for the least in retirement. And the way you get the most for the least in retirement is, number one, you want to spend all of your money. Don't give your kids a single penny. Don't give them a penny. Spend it all. Leave them life insurance, because you can do that for pennies on the dollar. Let me use me as an example. We got 4 kids. So one day we're sitting around saying, how much should we leave the kids? My wife said, I don't know. What do you think? I said, well, if we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids a beneficiary, when we're both gone, they're going to get $1 million tax-free. That's $250,000 a piece tax-free plus whatever's left over. I said, let's start there. So we bought a $1 million second to die life insurance policy, name the 4 kids a beneficiary. That policy is completely paid up. Do you know what the total cost of that $1 million policy was? $150,000. So think about this. For 15 cents on the dollar, we get to transfer $1 million tax-free to our kids. But here's the best part. Who gets to spend all the rest of the money? We do. See, when you study retirement, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to spend all of your money and then leave life insurance to your spouse, to your kids, to charity, okay? Don't leave them money. Spend your money. And so what happens is most people are not enjoying their retirements. They're underspending. They're living what I call a just-in-case retirement. They don't touch their money. They don't touch their money. I used to bust my clients and say, wait a minute. You told me when you retired you're going to join the country club. You're going to buy a new boat. You're going to see the world. Have you done that yet? No, we haven't done that yet. You know why? Because just in case, interest rates are so low, the market's so volatile, and so they don't touch their money, they don't touch their money, they don't touch their money, then they die. What happens to money? Goes to the kids. Well, the kids do with it. They join the country club. They buy a new boat. They go see the world. I make it so clear. I want you to join the country club. I want you to see the world. I do not want you to live a just-in-case retirement. And that's what I talk about in Retirement Alpha. And that's what I talk about in Don't Worry, Retire Happy. And by the way, Retirement Alpha is really just a white paper that's a summary of all the white papers. Remember I talked about all those PhDs, all those economists who are unanimous on the use of annuities? All that information is in Retirement Alpha. And you just should leave life insurance to your kids and then spend all of your money. The last check you ought to write ought to go to the undertaker, and that baby ought to bounce.
Amen. That's great. Spend it till the end. That's beautiful. So, folks, if you want to get the Don't Worry, Retire Happy book, call us at 888-988-JOSH. And you talked about tax increases, and the Biden administration, again, this week with the address to Congress, President Biden talked about more, gimmies, free college, free 2-year community college. Although a lot of states already have that free, but it's going to cost more money. And the government is going to spend more money, and then taxes are going to go up. How do you think these tax increases are going to affect retirees or soon-to-be retirees? Have you studied them?
Well, I mean, if they got all the tax increases they want, the stock market will go just plunge. So, but that's not going to happen. They're not going to get all of those tax increases. But you are going to see income taxes are going to go up, capital gains taxes are going to go up. The estate tax exemption is going to come down, and the estate tax rate is going to go up. They're talking about eliminating stepped-up cost basis at death, which means your kids aren't going to be able to inherit all your stuff. They're going to have to pay taxes on all of that stuff. I mean, it is very troublesome to see all the tax increases that have been proposed. Now, they're not all going to get passed, but a bunch of them are. And that's, again, I've been predicting this for years. I've been saying for years that the taxes are going to have to go up a lot. And I said it's not a Republican or Democrat thing. This is a math problem. We need a math party, because I'm telling you, neither one of these parties can add and subtract. I even got a shirt. Somebody gave me one because I talk about it all the time. It says Republican, Democrat, math. And it's got a big check mark on the math party, because that's really what we need. We need a math party. And taxes are going to go up, which is why I have positioned my own personal portfolio to provide me with tax-free income in retirement.
And you do the tax-free income through insurance, Roths, and what else? Or is that basically?
Yeah, Roth IRAs. My income annuities are Roth IRAs, so that's going to be tax-free income. And then I put a lot of money in my cash value life insurance policy. And the reason I've tried to pour so much into it is that then I can get a lot out tax-free. And so I'm going to be set with quite a bit of tax-free income from my life insurance policy, and then quite a bit of tax-free income from my Roth IRAs.
I do the same thing with insurance. Now, on the insurance, cash value insurance, what about people who say, that's kind of a ripoff? Don't place your money there. They're just trying to sell you insurance.
Well, I guess they're trying to compare it to the stock market or something. Don't compare cash value life insurance with the stock market. Compare it to the bond market. And if you compare cash value life insurance against what you're going to get in a CD or what you're going to get in government bonds, it's very, very, very attractive. You're going to do better in a cash value life insurance policy than you're going to do in bonds or CDs or other safe places to put your money. So the people who say it's a ripoff, they're comparing, whole life insurance to the S&P 500. Well, that's not a fair comparison. If you really want to compare it, compare the S&P 500 to variable life, because in variable life, you can be invested in the S&P 500. You can be invested in international stocks, and you can take money out tax-free in retirement. So I think what's going to happen is if these tax increases go in, you're going to see variable life insurance sales skyrocket because you have access to the markets, but you don't have a taxable event every time you buy and sell. Like if you're in a mutual fund and you buy and sell, that's taxable event, taxable event, taxable event. With life insurance, you can buy, sell all you want. There's no taxable event until you take money out. So, people who complain about annuities and insurance, they don't understand it, because if they understood it, they'd own a lot of it. I don't sell life insurance. I don't sell annuities. I own 11 annuities, and I've got millions of dollars in my cash value life insurance. And if these were bad products or stupid products, I would own exactly 0 of them. So, I've studied this. I've studied the research. It is math and science, and I prove it. I say, do you know what the job title is of the people who set the rates on life insurance and annuities? They're called actuaries. Do you know what actuaries have to study to become actuaries? They have to study math and science. Life insurance and annuities are based in math and science. And so when you really realize that and you study it, all of a sudden the world opens up to you, and many more solutions are available.
No, that's fantastic. So, folks, we're on with Tom Hegna, best-selling author of the book Don't Worry, Retire Happy, which will be yours free if you call and schedule your no-obligation review, 888-988-JOSH, for your 45-minute strategy session. 888-988-JOSH. You'll get your very own wealth blueprint when you call us at 888-988-JOSH. That's 888-988-5674. We'll be back after this. And we're back with Tom Hegna, PBS special guru. How do you get the PBS special? That's one of my dreams, Tom, to get a PBS special.
Well, what happened was I was speaking in San Diego at a big industry meeting. It's probably 8 years ago. And somebody was there from PBS, and they said, Tom, we need to take this message out to the American people. They're getting the wrong message from all these other talking heads. But we're not sure they'd really understand this paycheck and playcheck thing. We would need a simpler title. So that's when I wrote Don't Worry, Retire Happy. And Don't Worry, Retire Happy is a broader book than Paychecks and Playchecks, because Don't Worry, Retire Happy talks about having a plan, working with a financial professional. It talks about how to maximize your Social Security benefits, the importance of considering a hybrid retirement, the importance of protecting your portfolio against inflation, the importance of securing more guaranteed lifetime income, the importance of having a plan for long-term care. It talks about how to use your home equity wisely, and then how to use life insurance as the most efficient way to pass wealth. So Don't Worry, Retire Happy is a very broad book on how to retire, be happy, live longer, and actually enjoy your retirement, which many people are not doing because they're living this just in case retirement.
Yeah, just in case. I remember there was a couple, a dear couple that I knew for a number of years, and they were a little frugal, saved up quite a bit of money by any stretch of the imagination. I want to say, $2 million, $3 million, good middle class family, saved quite a bit for them. They did not spend any more than the interest that they earned. And the husband was meticulous. He would not let the wife spend anything on anything. And he always said to me, he said, when I die, she's going to buy a big house in Florida and spend all the kids' inheritance. And turns out he was right. But he was, and I always feel like, she lived it up and enjoyed her last so many years. She's still having a good time. But he penny pinched and, it's
Josh, this has everything to do with what I call psychonomics. I talk about math, science, economics, but I've been writing now about psychonomics because think about it. Your entire life, you got something from your company every 2 weeks. What was that called? It was called a paycheck. And what do you do with most of your paycheck? You spent it. You paid for your house. You paid for your car. You went on trips. You bought stuff. You got and spent a paycheck every 2 weeks your entire working career. And with your 401k and IRA, guess what you did? You were taught to save it and protect it. Don't touch it. We got to grow it. And so for 40 years, you don't touch that 401k. And then what? When you're 65, automatically, boom, you're going to magically say, wow, I'm going to blow my 401k today. People can't do it. It's not economics, it's psychonomics. And so most people underspend. They don't overspend. And what I try to tell people is this, look, buy life insurance to go to your family, buy life insurance to go to your charities, and then spend your money. The problem is you don't know how long you're going to live, so you don't know how much you can take out. That's why you need to put some money in an income annuity, because it essentially knows how long you're going to live, because no matter how long you live, you could live to be 140, and that paycheck is coming every single month for the rest of your life. So at least cover those basic living expenses every time with guaranteed lifetime income, and then you can optimize the rest of your portfolio to protect yourself against inflation. So it's not stocks or annuities, it's stocks and annuities. That's the solution. It's not real estate or annuities. It's real estate and annuities. And if people would just understand this and understand how it all works, it all makes perfect sense because it's based in math and science. This is not based in opinions.
And folks, if you want the book, get Tom's book, Don't Worry, Retire Happy Now. Our operators are standing by to schedule your no obligation 45-minute strategy session. And when you schedule it, and keep it, you'll get the Don't Worry, Retire Happy book at no charge when you schedule and keep your no obligation review. This is fascinating stuff, Tom. What about people who say, this is just something I've thought about. What about those, there's a lot here. I one time knew a guy, talk about psychonomics, who died because he was too cheap to hire somebody to change the light bulb. I mean, I'm sure you've heard of people like that. They don't hire somebody, then they fall off a ladder, and then they're never the same. Yep. Just because they're too cheap. What would you say to that person?
You're scaring me, Josh, because I'm about to get on a ladder here. I got to do some caulking of some above my gutters. Maybe I should hire somebody. But no, I mean, look, I want to enjoy my retirement. I said, what good would it be if the guy who writes the book, Don't Worry, Retire Happy, doesn't retire and he's not happy? Now, I'm 59. I turned 60 this summer. My plan has always been to retire at age 60, and I've invested 20 to 40% of my income for 30-something years, so I'm able to do it. And I've bought enough guaranteed income. I'm able to do it. I've got some pensions. I've got Social Security. I've got a military pension that's going to kick in this summer. It's going to be nice. And so I've tried to position myself so that now I can enjoy my retirement. And so for the first time in my life, I joined a country club. I never did it when I was young because I couldn't make it work. I was working so hard. How can I make it work? But now I'm playing 3 to 4 to 5 times a week, and I've got 2 different places, and they're both right near golf courses. And I go play golf, and I play tennis, and I play pickleball. And once travel comes back, we're going to go travel. We're going to do stuff. I want to enjoy my retirement, and I've set up my retirement the exact way that I write about. Everything that I write about in Don't Worry, Retire Happy, I put into place for myself. I am not just talking the talk. I am walking the walk, and I'm living it, and I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, and you definitely want to eat what the cook is eating for his own self. I would hate to go to a restaurant and the chef is not eating their own cooking. Same thing with the financial person. So call us at 888-988-JOSH for the Don't Worry, Retire Happy book. So what about, you made me think about something. I hear this a lot, that annuities, and since we talked a little about annuities before, a lot about annuities. What about people say, well, with annuities, you're only getting your own money back to you? Like you hear that a lot, right?
Well, yeah, that is not true. And you can prove it by running a life with 20 years certain, a life with 30 years certain. If you would just want to show them the real numbers that you put in X, you're going to get paid Y. The whole point of annuities is this. It protects you against the number one risk in retirement, which is living too long. See, dying too soon is not the number one risk. Living too long is the number one risk. And the annuity protects you against that. So like if you're in terrible health and your parents all died young, don't buy an annuity. You don't need that, okay? But if you've got any longevity in your system, if you're worried that, hey, I could live to be 90, 95, 100, then that's where the annuity fits. And so I've always said this. I would not care if I left some money on the table and died, but I would care if I'm alive and I'm out of money. You see, the people who
wait, repeat that. That's really good.
Repeat
Repeat that real quick. That's really good.
I would rather leave a little money on the table when I die than to be alive and be out of money. And I believe the people who poo-poo annuities and they think, stocks and all these other things are the way to do it. Many of those people, many of them are going to run out of money in their 80s and 90s. And they're going to look at their friends who bought annuities and they're saying, man, did I mess up? Why didn't I put 20 to 40% of my portfolio into an annuity? It would have made so much sense. It protects you from living too long because an annuity is the only product in the world that will guarantee you will never, ever, ever run out of money.
That's a good point. Now, you also have people, 401ks even are adopting annuity provisions. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Well, they need to, because pensions are gone away. And the 401k is considered by most financial professionals to have been a failure because it doesn't give people enough money. It doesn't give them income for life. And so now they're incorporating annuities into 401k so that people can see right on their statement, this guarantees you'll have $600 a month. This guarantees you'll have $2,000 a month for the rest of your life. This guarantees you'll have $10,000 a month for the rest of your life. So that now you can start planning on income rather than assets. Assets don't matter in retirement. People who have assets are miserable. They're losing money in this. They're losing money in this. People who have assets are miserable. What makes you happy in retirement is guaranteed lifetime income.
That's such a great point. That is not what, it is. The more money, more problems. And so call us, folks, 888-988-JOSH for the Don't Worry, Retire Happy book. Now, what do you think about inflation and the way the government is spending? Where are we headed with inflation?
Okay, so I put out an economic commentary every single year, and you can go to YouTube and you can Google Tom Hegna economic commentary, and you'll see that I'm one of the only economists in the world that for the past 8 or 9 years have said interest rates are going to stay low. And I'm still there. Now, interest rates are trending up a little. Certainly, we're seeing some inflation. I mean, lumber prices have doubled. Many commodity prices have doubled. Oil prices have more than doubled. So there is going to be some short-term inflation because, look, we printed all this money. We got trillions of dollars of funny money floating around. We're spending all this COVID money. We're printing money. Well, certainly that's going to cause some short-term inflation. But understand, the world is still facing deflationary pressures. There's still about $16 trillion of government bonds around the world paying negative interest rates. And it has everything to do with the massive debt, the fact that taxes are going to have to go up, that spending is going to have to get cut. That's called deleveraging. And then there's the demographics. All the people are getting older, and old people don't spend money. So when you look at the debt, the deleveraging, the demographics, we are still in a deflationary world where we're going to have probably a year or two of inflationary pressures.
No, I agree completely. We had Lacey Hunt on a couple of weeks ago. We gave a great talk on how all of this stimulus, and I asked him, what about lumber prices? What about all these costs? And he actually said that's disinflationary. And actually proof of deflation, because if the government spent $9 trillion, 9 times what they spent in the '08 crash, plus another 1.9, so we're at like 10.9 trillion if you add up all the relief packages, and we're only at 2.5% inflation, that's a sign that we are in deflation. It's just a transitory thing. He said it far more eloquently than I did. But
look, I'm on the record saying that the 10-year Treasury will go negative before it ever hits 4%. So you can hold me accountable to that. The 10-year Treasury will go negative before it ever hits 4%. Because once we're through all this funny money, market's going to go down, inflation's going to go down, interest rates are going to go down. I mean, we could go into some type of depression at some point because all of this is just funny money that's floating around, and that it can't last, okay? It can't last.
Well, I think then they'll just add zeros, like modern monetary theory, and it'll be really bad. You know, I hope not. Let's keep it positive. So, interesting. So the 7, as we conclude, talk about the 7 steps to retirement income. We talked about don't worry, retire happy. Talk about the 7 steps again. You talked about them briefly.
Well, the 7 steps, number 1, you want to have a plan. That's the most important part. You got to have a plan. You want to work with a financial professional. Retirement's not a do-it-yourself project. You don't do your own dental work in your garage, and I don't think you got to be doing your own retirement planning either. Step number 2, you want to understand and maximize your Social Security benefits. People spend more time planning their summer vacation than learning how to get the most of those valuable benefits. Step number 3, I strongly encourage you to consider a hybrid retirement. Work part-time for a couple of years. It can give you increased earnings, increased savings, increased Social Security benefits, and it can keep you from tapping into that portfolio for a couple of years. Number 4, you've got to have a plan to protect yourself against inflation. So you want to invest some money in things that go up in times of inflation. Step number 5, you've got to have some guaranteed lifetime income, at least enough to cover your basic living expenses. Step number 6, you want to have a plan for long-term care. No retirement plan is complete without a plan for long-term care. Step number 7, you learn to use your home equity wisely, whether that's downsizing and taking advantage of capital gains tax break or doing some type of reverse mortgage that can play a role in a successful retirement, and then use life insurance as the most efficient way to pass your wealth to children, grandchildren, and charities. It's based in math and science. It's not based on my opinions. It's based on the research of hundreds of PhDs, and I put the research in here. I always tell people, do your due diligence on me just like you do your due diligence on everybody else. But this stuff is the correct way to do it. And if you've got some financial professional who doesn't agree with that, then I would just tell you, I would leave that financial professional. I would focus on doing it the right way, based in math and science, not based on people's opinions.
Now we got Ernesto. He says, I'm going to buy the book. I mean, he wants the Don't Worry, Retire Happy. Ernesto, do you have any questions for Tom?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the book. Other than your book, Josh, I don't really... actually, Josh, your book was the first one that introduced me to financial literacy. So this is the second book that I'm going to pick up on the subject.
And we interview people every week. And for him to say that...
First time, yeah.
Is pretty exciting, Tom.
What do you have to say to 40-year-olds that are just getting into the investing world?
Well, you know what? I had a couple of companies ask me to do a presentation on financial wellness. So I did a bunch of research on financial wellness, and it was fascinating. I found that financial wellness is tied to health, to physical wellness, and is tied to emotional wellness, and is tied to mental wellness. And so people who are financially well, they have better health. They don't have depression. They don't have all these other problems that people who have financial problems have. And so it is so important. And so now I've developed a new presentation because financial wellness sounds boring. I title it, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? And this is my presentation I make to millennials. And I show millennials how simple it is to become a millionaire in America. Anybody who wants to become a millionaire can become a millionaire in America, because the fact is, all of your listeners are going to make millions of dollars over their lifetime. They're going to make millions, but the point is, how much are you going to keep? See, most people are spending too much money. And so in this presentation, I teach people how to make more money. You want to get really good at what you do. You want to be the expert. If you're a plumber, you want to be the best plumber in the city. If you're a firefighter, you want to be the best firefighter in the county. You want to be good at what you do because those people make more money. Then you want to spend less money. All right? Don't buy brand new cars. Buy a car with 2 years old and get it for half price. I give tips on how to spend less money and then invest your money into appreciating assets. Stocks are appreciating assets. Real estate are appreciating assets. Don't put your money, people put their money into boats and jet skis and RVs and motorcycles and iPhones and computers. Those are depreciating assets. They go down in value every single day. Put your money into appreciating assets. So it's kind of fun because I get to work with younger people. I show them how simple it is to become a millionaire in America today.
And folks, you can get the book 888-988-JOSH. If you schedule and keep your no obligation review today, 45-minute strategy session will give you your very own wealth blueprint, and you'll get Tom Hegna's book, Don't Worry, Retire Happy. And Tom, what concluding thoughts do you have for our listeners or watchers out there on YouTube?
Well, one thing that we didn't talk about, the number one objection people have to annuities is they think the fees are too high. Well, here's a fact. Most annuities don't even have fees. A single premium immediate annuity is not a fee product. If you're guaranteed $1,000 a month for the rest of your life, that's exactly what you're going to get. A deferred income annuity is not a fee product. A base fixed index annuity is not a fee product. A fixed annuity is not a fee product. There's really only two types of annuities that have fees: variable annuities and some optional income riders. So I just think there's so much more education that needs to happen around this subject of annuities, because people are being very misinformed by some of these people on TV and other radio shows.
Yeah, that's funny. You make me think of two things. One, I've challenged, we're on the same station that Ramsey's on, and I've challenged some of his misinformation about life insurance. And I've challenged him to a debate. Dave Ramsey, we respect you. You're a best-selling author. Really appreciate your words on helping people get out of debt. But we want to challenge him again. We'll challenge you to a debate on a station that we're both on. It would be listened to by millions of people on New York's flagship WOR, and he's yet to debate me, Tom. Yet. He does not take the challenge. Can you believe that?
Yeah, and he personally owns cash value life insurance. That's what's so funny. He tells people only buy term, but he owns cash value life insurance.
And somebody asked him that one time, and he said, "Oh, it's because my wife wanted me to," or something like that. One time he was caught, and I commend him because somebody found out and they asked him, and he was honest, which was good. And it's crazy. So if it's good for the rich, why wouldn't it be good for me? As with any insurance or annuity, you want to make sure you understand surrender charges, risks, expenses, fees, all that stuff. So do your own due diligence. Yeah, what would you recommend on due diligence? You mentioned internal fees. You talk about single premium immediate annuities that have no fees. Fixed annuities have no fees. Generally, the redheaded stepchild of the annuity world tends to be the variable annuity. That's the one that has the most fees, but that's because generally you can have your money grow in the market and have a death benefit or an income benefit. What do you got to watch out for when buying an annuity?
Well, I think you want to look at the strength of the company. I say all insurance companies are not created equal. You want to deal with the strength of the insurance company. You want to have features and benefits that you want. Like you can have a variable annuity that guarantees you won't lose your money. Like there's cash value guarantees. There are some that have income guarantees. There are some that have withdrawal benefit guarantees. So you really work with a trusted financial professional. I think it's so important because there are thousands of products out there. I don't do this myself. I work with a financial professional. I know what I need. I know what I want. But then, there's thousands of products out there. So I really do think you need software that can scout all the annuities out there and come back with 2 or 3 or 4 that fit what I want best. If I don't want fees, I say I don't want fees. Okay, boom. Here's a bunch of annuities that don't have fees. If I want to have, unlimited growth or whatever I want to have income, I want to start at 65 or 70, whatever I want, I state what I want. And then that financial advisor has to go out there and find the very best products that fit what I want.
Yeah, we have a whole team that does that. That's a great point. And folks, if you want that, call us 888-988-JOSH. You get the Don't Worry, Retire Happy book. Tom, this has been fun. I'm sure our audience will go crazy this week, clamoring for the book, Don't Worry, Retire Happy. Call us, 888-988-JOSH. And anything you'd like to plug for our listeners today, go to tomhegna.com or...
Yeah, tomhegna.com. My books are on Amazon or tomhegna.com. If they want to go to tomhegna.com, if they use the code 15OFF, they get 15% off anything there.
Great. Thank you so much, Tom. This has been fun. Hope to have you again in the near future. And folks, call us at 888-988-JOSH for the free 45-minute wealth strategy session. And you get the book by Tom Hegna, Don't Worry, Retire Happy. We'll be back. And thanks for tuning in. This is Josh Jalinski, the financial quarterback. Don't touch that dial.
Tom.
Yes.
It's Ernesto. Thanks very much. Josh is here thanking you as well.
All right.
So until next time, same bat channel. Okay.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Wonderful. Bye-bye.